Alright, so this portion of the video is actually once you get your Sonic, or once you get the camper unloaded, or once you get the camper in the spot where you're going to be, it's time to hook up the power, the water, the sewage, things of that nature. So let's take a walk through this. When I first learned how to do this, it was one of the more difficult aspects for me. So we'll just walk you through everything. Now, you'll notice that it's still on the back of my truck, so I haven't actually leveled everything out. We've got leveling blocks that you can use for your jacks right here, make sure everything stays level, and you'll be able to check it using these levels on the actual camper itself, on the trailer, so you can see where you sit. Now, we've got these guys, which basically hold your sewage line in place, because otherwise when you got all that shit and stuff sitting in the bottom of it, it's just going to run down, it's going to sit in the bottom, you're going to have to pick it up to move it. So that keeps it off the ground. You've got your blocks, these are for leveling, we're not going to actually get into those. You've got your water adapter, this keeps the water pressure from getting to be too much going into the camper itself. It's also got some little filters in there to keep any sediment and debris. You'll be using that. You've also got your power cable, right? So this basically is going to plug into whatever 30 amp. We've also got an adapter if it needs to drop down to a 20 amp or just a 120 volt plug. But generally speaking, if you're at a camp spot, you're going to be able to have a 30 amp camp thing plug in. Additionally, this part right here, this portion of the plug is going to go into your connector. You're going to push it in, right? It's going to have a little a tooth there, and then once you push it in, turn to lock it. It's going to lock in place, and then you spin to lock it onto the actual the nipple there. All right, we're not going to do that because we don't have anything to plug it into and don't really need to. But next part is sewage. All right, so let's take our water and sewage and come take a look at what that's going to look like. The water, you've got your hose. There's actually hoses inside there as well. The one that's screwed into itself, that's kind of the sewage hose, but there's a white one right on top that you're going to want to use. It's the one closest to the outside of the door. And it's going to go right here where it says city connection or city water connection. All right, so you're basically going to put this inside of here, right? You're going to pick this up, you're going to screw it in, and then your hose is going to get in the bottom. Facing up is open flow, facing down is blocked flow. So before you do anything, you want to make sure that you have that, well, depending on what you want to do, if you want to turn the flow on, make sure that's up before you start worrying about the water not flowing. And then next, we've got sewage. So for sewage, we've got this handy dandy bag here, and this is the shitty part of the entire thing, pun intended. So after you use the bathroom and all that kind of stuff, as you're working your way through the camping process, either if you're camping without a hookup, you won't have this set up. If you're camping with a hookup, you can have this set up and then you can freely flush and do what you want to as the time goes by. But basically, you're going to have your outlet and you're going to have your inlet. And it's all going to be connected to this. And you're going to notice that we have two sets of releases on the bottom. So the one on the big tank, or the one on the big pipe that goes all the way back, this is going to be your sewage, right? This is your black water. This is going to be straight from the toilets. This is going to be your gray water. This is going to be from shower, from you know, your sinks and things of that nature. And then all of them are going to come directly out of this. So you'll take that and open it up. You'll turn that and click it on. Take one of these nozzles, and by the way, when you're doing this, we've got gloves, sanitary gloves. There's a whole box of them inside of there, but you'll want to wear your sanitary gloves because more than likely you will get something on your hands. Take that, put it on, twist it, and all of the hookups you're going to see are going to look like this. All right, so you're going to pick it up with your foot, you're going to let it set down, so that puts it in place. Now what I was saying about this this black expandable thing here is that you can take this and see, this is nice and even. You don't need it for something like this, but a lot of times your drain for your sewage is going to be up off the ground and it's going to come down, it's going to go up. And the way that this is designed is anything with weight in it is going to sit. So you take this, you put it under so that it has a support off of the ground, and as the sewage drains, it stays above the level of where it needs to go, right? So that's what that's used for. And then, of course, once you get the water turned on, once you get everything moving, and you want to empty it, I would suggest keeping the sewage closed if you're using it for a couple of days, and keeping the gray water closed until you're ready to empty it, and then always empty the sewage first, right? Because that's going to get all of the nasty stuff down into the hose. Then open your gray water, and that'll use that gray water to wash through the hose itself, and that'll help clean it out as you move through. Of course, then you can always take a hose, depending on where you are, and spray it out, clean it out real good so that it's not nasty for me or the next person who's going to use it. So of course, from there you just reverse the whole process, put everything away, make sure that you close up your valves real good. And the way that these work, right, pull out, that's going to open that valve, push back in, that's going to close the valve. And same thing goes for the black water over there. Cool.